Also, however, therefore. How do you differentiate these? Hey guys, it's Jen. I'm a test prep tutor, and today I want to tackle SAT transition questions with you. These are very common questions on the SAT writing section, but they can sometimes be quite tricky. They are highly recognizable and often involve an underlined word or a phrase, and many students do struggle with these. So if that's you, stay tuned for this video. I will be breaking it down for you and sharing with you my best technique for how to tackle these questions that will hopefully transform the way you see them. Before we get started, I just want to remind you to subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell. I make a ton of videos on test taking strategies, and I don't want you to miss a single one. All right, guys, let's get into this content. The number one mistake I see students make on these questions is they have too narrow of a focus and they don't consider enough of the context. The name itself even tells us that these are words or phrases that are literally meant to bridge one idea to another. And because of that, you have to consider the sentence before the transition as well as the one after so you can start to understand their relationship. What many students do is they will take the underlined portion and just plug each of the answer choices in and sound them out. Well, you guys know that relying on your ears is just not the best approach when it comes to the SAT writing section. And for these questions in particular, you can't just be relying on the sentence that includes the transition because it's not going to give you enough of the context. To help my students who really struggle with this type of question, I've come up with a really great technique. So rather than thinking about these as individual words or phrases, what I really encourage you guys to do is to consider them as categories of words. Now, there are many types of transitions out there, but guess what? On the SAT, there are only 3 main types that show up repeatedly. If you don't believe me, after you watch this video, go back through all of the College Board exams, and I think you'll see what I mean. They really like to recycle certain types of transitions, and even within those types, certain transitions show up over and over again. So to help you remember these 3 main categories, I've come up with a technique called the 3 C's, and I want to show you exactly how this works. So the first C here is going to be continuation transitions. These transitions just kind of carry the conversation along and moves it forward. Words here include things like also, additionally, moreover, and I would actually categorize a subtype of this type of words as well to include example-based transitions like for example, and for instance. Again, these words just carry the conversation forward. The next C is called contrasting transitions, and this is going to be the most recognizable ones. These are going to be the most straightforward. Contrasting transitions take 2 ideas that are in some ways opposite and bring them together. So this type of transition include words like however, despite, and a really big one here is nevertheless. This one tends to trip students up. It means in spite of. Okay, we got one more. This is going to be the most tricky category. They are causation transitions. These transitions bring 2 sentences together that have a cause and effect relationship. It's a very close-knit relationship. So words here include therefore, thus, because, consequently. And many students tend to confuse these with the continuation types of transitions. They think those 2 are similar, but there's actually quite a distinct difference. And that is continuation transitions tend to have a looser relationship. Again, it just kind of moves the conversation forward. Also, by the way, similarly, additionally, right? It's not a super tight-knit relationship versus a causation requires a cause and effect. The second part of the sentence should really be a direct result of something that came upon in the first part of the sentence. You guys know that I can't just leave you with an overview. I am going to take you through some specific examples to show you these in action so you can see how they get applied. Okay, so let's look at a couple together. The first thing I want to emphasize here is the approach, the actual technique I use with my students. So here it is. We are going to ignore the answer choices, right? You know when you'll come upon this question exactly the format, so when you see it, just ignore the answer choices to start. The next thing I want you to do, if you were taking this in a physical copy, I would actually take my finger and cover up the transition that's underlined. For our purposes today, I'm going to cross it out. Why am I doing that? Because I don't want to clutter my brain. I don't want to confuse myself at all with that transition. I am now going to read the sentence before and the sentence after without the transition. And my only goal, your singular goal here, is to figure out the relationship between those two parts of the passage. Okay, so let's do that together. Typically, the ice sheet begins to show evidence of thawing in late summer. This follows several weeks of higher temperatures. In the summer of 2012, virtually the entire Greenland ice sheet underwent thawing at or near its surface by mid-July, the earliest date on record. Okay, the way I like to approach SAT passages, because I know they like to make it very verbose to confuse you, I like to break it down and just focus on the key components. So to me, the first part of the sentence here, all it's saying is typically ice melts in late summer. And then the second part is talking about how in 2012, the melting began in mid-July, the earliest date on record. Late summer, typically late August, mid-July, the earliest date on record. Hopefully you guys can see how clear it is that this is meant to be a contrasting relationship. So let's take a look at the answer choices here. Okay, starting with A, for example. For example, we just talked about is a continuation transition. We're looking for contrasting, so that's not going to work. So we're going to cross that out. B, however, now that is a contrasting transition. I'm not ready to eliminate it. I'm going to put a little mark next to it and look at some of the others. C, as such. We don't hear this one a whole lot, but as such is actually a causation transition. Okay, so that is a causation, not contrast. We are going to ignore. D, moreover. Again, this is a classic continuation transition, so that's not going to be it either. Look at what's left. Just the B, however, contrasting. Hopefully you see by focusing on the type, you're not so bogged down by the individual words, and it really helps you eliminate your answers quite quickly. Let's do another one. Okay, same kind of a deal. I'm going to ignore answer choices, ignore the transition underline, and let's read. A 1994 survey concluded that only 18% of American colleges required at least one philosophy course. Between 92 and 96, more than 400 independent philosophy departments were eliminated from institutions. Once again, let's simplify. There's too much going on. Okay, so first part, 94 survey showed few colleges required philosophy courses. Second part tells us between 92 and 96, many institutions eliminated philosophy altogether. Okay. To me, those two ideas are quite similar to each other. So at the very least, I know there's not going to be a contrasting relationship. Let's see if we can find any contrasting types in the answer, because those will be the first to go. Looking through here, A, B, C, D, D. However, that is a classic contrast, so that's not going to be it. Okay, now let's start from the top. A and B, therefore, thus. These are classic causation type transitions, okay? So let's think about that makes sense. Remember that causation transitions require that the second part be a direct result of what came before. But look here. Can something from 92 be a direct result of something that came in 94? That contradicts time, doesn't it? So that's not going to work at all. So here we can't have a causation relationship just because the timing doesn't work out. A and B are out. We're left with C. We haven't even looked at it. So let's take a look. Moreover. Moreover is a continuation transition. And that's exactly what we're doing here. We're presenting two ideas that are very much similar to each other. So to continue the conversation, to further the point along, we're going to need a transition like C. Okay, last one. Here we go. Okay, you guys know the drill by now. Ignore. This practice of continuing education, also known as professional development, benefits not only employees, but also their employers. Meaningful professional development is a shared responsibility. Okay, so I really like this question. If we really think about it, hopefully you can see here as well, it's not going to be contrasting. I really like to eliminate contrasting first because it's the most straightforward one. Why is it not contrasting? Basically, what we're saying here is continued education benefits both parties. it is a shared responsibility. There is no opposition in those two ideas, so it's not going to be contrasting. In this case, B and C are out. Okay, now we're left with A and D. A here, accordingly is a causation transition, and D similarly is a continuation transition. You guys know these two tend to be a little bit hard to differentiate, so let's think a little bit more about it. Is this a very loosey-goosey relationship of, oh, by the way, I'm just going to continue the thought, or is it more of a close-knit cause and effect relationship? So let's take a look. We're saying once again that continuing education benefits both parties. It is a shared responsibility. I would rephrase that to say, because it benefits both, that's why it is a shared responsibility. So that makes a lot of sense to me. I think this is going to be a causation transition. It's a very tight relationship. So I'm going to go with A instead of D. Okay. So guys, to get really good at these, you're going to have to practice a ton. There's really no way around it. What you want to focus on is the relationship between two sentences. You also really want to learn the different types of transitions that show up on the test and which ones fall into each of those categories. To help you with that process, I've actually gone through the exams and compiled a list of the most common transition words that show up, and I've even put them into their own categories. If you want that list, I am going to link it in the description box below. Grab yourself a copy and commit those to memory, and I think you're going to see a big difference with these questions. If you like this video, you know what to do. Give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. Stick around and check out some of my other content. I make a ton of videos on my channel on test taking tips and strategies. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.